Hey there, Molly Christensen here with Building Heroes Academy, and I am your mentor on your homeschool hero journey. So, today's video is entitled Dead Plants, Rotten Fruit, Meat Left Out for Way Too Long, and Your Homeschool. So, the other day I went to Costco and I was buying a lot of food because that's what you do at Costco, right? Especially if you got 3 teenage boys at your house. So, I bring it home and I start putting it away. And it takes forever, especially if you haven't been to Costco in 3 weeks. And so I was just like in a get it done mood, So I'm like, I'm just going to get this all put away. And while I'm at it, I'm going to cook up this 5-pound chub of sausage so that I can just freeze it and we will be good to go. Well, I finished putting most of the groceries away, and then I turned off the stove because the meat was cooking, while I was putting away all the groceries. And then I had to run a kid off to dance. Well, you know what happened next, right? Yeah, 4 hours later, I realized that meat was still sitting on the stove. Ugh, right? So, what would you do in that situation? Well, I'll tell you what I did. First, I started to beat myself up in my head. I said, oh my gosh, that was so stupid. Why did I do that? I just totally wasted 5 pounds of good sausage. Oh, I'm so horrible. So bad of me. But then I had a spark of hope. I was like, well, maybe I can go ask Google, and Google will tell me it's okay. But Google was pretty emphatic that I probably should throw that away because it'd been out for 4 hours. So then I went back to beating myself up about it, right? Wow. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was getting too cocky. I was just feeling like I was getting so much done. And, I'm really just this distracted, stupid, wasteful person. Well, so then my brain started blaming the kids. I'm like, well, they should have noticed that this was out here, right? They should have told me. They could have put it away. So, I was trying to make it so it wasn't my fault. And all of this was going on in my brain. I didn't even realize what was going on, I didn't say this out loud, but then all of a sudden it clicked what I was doing to myself. I was like, whoa, hold on here. I'm totally beating myself up, but then I'm blaming other people, so I don't have to be the dumb one just because I made a mistake. Sure, it was stupid, but it really was just a mistake. I am a human. But I was totally making myself feel worthless and lousy and crappy just because I messed up. And the fact that I wasted sausage did not mean that I am a bad person or that I'm a miserable failure. It just simply means that I am an imperfect human being, which I'm assuming that all of us are here alive on earth right now, but the reason why we can make mistakes and do these things is so we can learn and grow and become better. So while I was in the midst of this massive beat up, right, I started looking around the kitchen and I realized that there's this box of peaches sitting on the counter, and it's, probably got about a third of them left. And I peek in there and oh man, they were rotting. They were gross and moldy. And nice experiment for the fruit flies, right? And they'd been sitting there for like a week or so, and I should have thrown them away days ago. And that was just adding to the same lousy thoughts about myself and trying to blame other people. Why didn't they eat those? My gosh. And comparing myself. Man, my sister would have had these all canned and frozen or whatever. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do that? And then I looked around a little more and I noticed the herbs that were sitting in my window. And they were so cute and fun when I stuck them there, but now they were all withered and dead, and they'd been there for weeks. They'd gotten too hot, and I just hadn't watered them enough. And I was like, oh my gosh, those have been sitting there, and every time I've been looking at those, I've been beating myself up or blaming someone else. And they've been bringing all those negative thoughts to me too, every time I see them. So, why was all this going on? I was like, wait, these little things are still getting to me. They're building up and I didn't even notice. And it was partly just because I hadn't taken time to deal with them and I hadn't really recognized what was going on. So that was the bigger thing. Was just, I hadn't recognized it. Like I saw them there, I knew they were there, but I didn't know what I was doing to myself. So once I recognized that, what was going on in my brain, then I could do something about it, I could take action. I could throw those herbs away and forgive myself for letting them die and ask them forgiveness too if I wanted. I could take those peaches and get rid of those too. And yes, throw the meat away as well. So even though I made all these mistakes in my life, it didn't mean I was a bad person. So what I could learn from this was, this is the good thing is we can learn from mistakes. Is number one, I probably should make sure I set a timer whenever I cook meat, because that has happened before to me. Number two, I could have encouraged people to eat more peaches, or I could have just taken the time to freeze them. Number three, I probably should have put my herbs in better pots where I could have drainage, and then I wouldn't have to water them every 3 hours when it was hot, But the most important thing to learn from this is number four, and that is just because I didn't follow through on my plans for the peaches, just because I didn't water the herbs enough, and just because I accidentally left the meat out for too long, it didn't mean that I'm a failure, that I'm a bad person. So, I can still learn and grow. I can still learn from those mistakes, and I can still become better. So, I could even cook more meat. I can buy more peaches, and I can buy more herbs if I wanted to, right? And even if I let it all happen again, it would still be okay. And I would be too. So, what's this got to do with homeschool? Well, I think sometimes we do this to ourselves in our homeschool in the same ways. We start looking at our kids and we see where we think we messed up, where things aren't going quite right, where maybe the kids are withering a little bit, maybe they got a little moldy or grumpy, But the thing is, just because you failed at implementing some of your plans, just because you didn't do what you thought you should do, it doesn't mean that you are a failure or that you are messed up or that you're a wasteful person or whatever. And just because you compare your kids to other people's, it doesn't mean you know what you're talking about there, because we don't know everything that's going on there. So comparison is horrible. Don't do it. But the point is, you're not going to mess up your kids. Like, okay, yeah, I can buy new herbs and start over, but it's the same thing with our kids. If we mess up, we can apologize. We can try again. We can keep doing good things with them. We can learn from our experiences. So we can keep loving them and we can keep trying to do better. But what doesn't help them is when we beat ourselves up and make ourselves feel worthless. Now, if you're not recognizing that you're doing that, and by the way, we all do it at some point or another, then it's going to be hard to change. But that would be my challenge to you, is to pay attention. See if you're doing that to yourself. See if you, and then once you recognize that you can do something about it and you can forgive yourself and believe in yourself that you're going to be okay. Now, you can go on and beat yourself up over rotten peaches or think that you're failing your kids, but those voices are lies. Okay, they're just lies. It's not going to make you or them feel any better. So just choose a different way to think. Say, hey, I'm going to learn from this. So I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow, and I'm going to move on. In fact, that's what heroes do. They learn from those trials that they experience, and then they move on, and it's good. So if you want more on how you can implement these strategies in your homeschool, go on over to 3homeschoolsecrets.com. That's the number 3. Don't spell it out. Check out my 3 webinar there if you haven't yet. And until next time, remember, you are a hero, even if you leave the meat out too long, even if you killed your herbs, and even if you have rotten fruit in your kitchen. Now go throw it away.